Hi, I'm Joe Dalton. Welcome to the Acoustic Blues Handbook. You'll be able to improvise your own blues choruses with patterns, turnarounds, and solo ideas you can mix and match and plug in. You get some basic rhythms like this. Be able to harmonize them with some embellishments. For different chords, of course, and some simple turnarounds. You'd be able to play them simultaneously, and they'll be harmonized. You also get some scales for improvising. Your typical minor blues scale and a major blues scale, some different fingerings. So you'll be able to play the constant bass. That kind of thing. There'll be alternate changes, so you're not stuck to the 1, 4, and 5. So we'll throw in some secondary dominants. So your F sharp, which leads to your B, or your C sharp 7th, which leads to the F sharp 7th, which leads to the B. That kind of thing. Even some A sharp diminished, things like that. There'll be some slides and pull-offs and other tricks. You'll be able to use your pick for some of this. You can play with pick and fingers, or just your fingers. Now practice slowly at first. If you're practicing quickly and making mistakes, you're actually practicing the mistake. You'll get better at the mistake. So practice slowly at first. The speed will come. Before we begin playing, let's talk about how to hold the guitar. It's of vital importance here. I think sometimes we overlook this. What I'm doing is I'm taking this edge of the guitar and putting that against my knee. This back edge is touching my body, and my arm is on this edge. Now, I have my left leg, my left foot is on a couple of things. So my left leg is raised. Okay, and that's so I can hold the guitar in this. This is more of a classical position, but I don't have to hold the neck of the guitar this way. So I'd like you to experiment with holding the guitar this way. But what's even more important is the sound of the guitar. Now I'm playing a solid top guitar. Now you can see if you have a solid top guitar or not a couple of ways. Just look inside the hole, and if you see the grain of the wood going around, you can see it's one piece of wood, top to bottom. I don't mean this way, this is pieced over here. I mean top to bottom. Now what happens if you've got a plywood guitar, a plywood top, some of it, the sound's going to be muted some, but check this out. The sound comes off of your bridge. If I mute the bridge, there goes my tone. Now I'd like you to try this experiment at home. Put your hand on the bridge and strum. And when you take your hand off, you can hear the guitar open up. Listen to it. Now, I'm going to mute the top and the bridge. My hand's on the bridge, my arms are on the top. All the volume, a lot of the tone is gone. And when I take my hands off, you can hear the guitar open up. Listen again. Likewise, if I get the guitar off my legs, you hear that open up too. You're going to have to hear that at home because right now I just moved it closer to our microphone. Now, why am I talking about this? I don't want you to hold the back of the guitar up against your body and your arm over the top and you're grabbing the guitar so tight that the guitar can't breathe. Let's hear that sound from that guitar that you've got. And that's what I wanted to mention about holding the guitar. So one of the challenges is to find a good common ground, a good place for us to jump off from. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this early rock and roll rhythm pattern you may have heard on Chuck Berry type recordings. And there's your E pattern, and here's your A pattern. we're going to use a shuffle feel to it. And that's what I need you to know. A lot of us know that already. That's where we're going to start. So in your notation, the straight ahead look are the straight eighth notes. But the shuffle rhythm has the triplet. You can see the triplet bracket above, and you've got the rest in between. And you're thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or triplet, triplet. Some people count 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. You need those 3 subdivisions, and we're not playing the middle one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I think a lot of times the best thing to do is just go with the feel instead of the straight ahead feel. It's going to be written the straight way all the way through, so you're not looking at all those triplet brackets and rests. So here's a 12-bar blues progression in the key of E. We want to play with the shuffle feel. So I'll count it off so we can play it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our basic progression will be 4 of the E chords, 2 A chords, 2 E chords, 1 B, 1 A, and 2 E's. So that's 4 measures of E, 2 measures of A, 2 of E, 1 B, 1 A, and 2 E's. And that's our 12-bar blues progression. So let's talk about the B pattern. Now on the B pattern, I just held the power chord. Everything else had that added note. See, to add the note to the B pattern, you have to make this pretty big stretch here. I'm stretching from the 5th string 2nd fret to the 4th string 6th fret. If you have your hand positioned correctly, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, so I've got my thumb behind the neck, and I don't have, my palm is not touching the neck. I don't have any part of my hand touching the neck, just my thumb in the back and my fingers in position. I'm going to use this alternate pattern throughout, okay, just the B power chord at this time. And we're going to change things up a little bit later. So you have that option. But I did reduce it to this so that it's easier to play, so you can play the rest of the stuff right away. I'm going to get rid of the pick because we are doing fingerstyle blues here, and we're going to break up the pattern. Instead of playing the notes together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I'm going to split it up to and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. I should count that in 4s. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's the new rhythm pattern we're going to use. So I'm breaking it up, and the first note is actually a pickup note. It comes before 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, like that. So I would work on getting that rhythm together first, And then we can play the whole 12-bar blues in E using that pattern. So here we go. I'll count it off and we'll play together. Same thing, the 4 bars of E, the 2 bars of A, 2 bars of E, 1 bar of B, 1 of A, and 2 of E. We're going to just keep using that pattern over and over. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 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 Now let's add a little variation. We're going to use an E7th pattern and an A7th pattern. So the E7th, we're going to play the 2nd fret, 4th fret to the 5th fret. Back to the 4th. 2, 4, 5, 4. Let's play that one together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the A7th pattern, just move it down a string and play the same thing. Together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Now all we have to do is add that to our 12-bar blues pattern. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, switch. 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 Well, you've noticed something's missing. We need to add some life to this. And one of the things we can do is add turnarounds. Okay, you've heard these before. Now, I just played it all in this position, the 4th position. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, that's not how we're going to play it all the time, but I'm just taking a moment here to talk about the proper technique, getting your fingers in the right area. A lot of times when I'm teaching, I'll give private lessons. We'll be talking about how to keep your hands in the right position, how to keep your technique in line. And I'll give that exercise where you play 1, 2, 3, 4. Very often people's fingers are flying way off here because this part of the hand isn't parallel with the neck. So what I'd like you to do is on this 6th string, we're playing open, 4, 5, 6, 7, but keep those fingers really low. You can see there's hardly any movement for me to get those fingers to go down when you're looking at the video, of course. So everything sounds smooth because I'm not coming from over here trying to get those fingers down quickly. So I'd like you to practice that one for technique, keeping the fingers low. I also wanted to show you that this is actually a chromatic lick. Okay. Now in our next example, I've taken that back into the 1st position. We need to be up there sometimes for all the other work we're doing in the 1st position. So that's our first turnaround. So let's play the first example together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and. You notice I accent that last note, and 4, and 2, and. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and. So the accent means I'm hitting it a little bit harder, just bringing the sound out a little bit. Example 2 is the same notes in a different position. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and. Now example 3, we have the same notes but a different rhythm. Sometimes I'll play less notes when the song's faster, instead of trying to play. It sounds like I'm rushing those notes in. So sometimes I'll use the quarter notes when I'm playing a faster song. So let's play it a little bit faster. This is example 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. In our next example, we're playing all the triplets. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and. So you notice it's all the same notes, different rhythmic variations. Now the next one is a quarter note, triplet, quarter note, triplets. A lot of times you're just going to choose what feels best for whatever song you're playing. Let's play that one together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and one more variation. In this variation, we have the broken triplet and the full triplet. Let's play it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Well, now here's the homework part. Here's your exercise. Mix them up and get different variations going, something that works best for you, for whatever song you're playing. We're going to add the turnarounds to the progression. I'm going to play it for you once and then we'll talk about it. So what we have so far is just the two different patterns and the one with the seventh. So you can mix those together, or you could play a whole verse with just those two notes and another verse adding that flatted seventh. And you could add whatever turnaround you want to the end. And right now, of course, I'll just go with what's written. The other thing is something to do with the feeling. Well, let's get started with that. In most popular styles, we're going to accent beats 2 and 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm going to play those a little bit louder. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Now let me exaggerate it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And you can see where the notes are. Let's bring that back a little bit so it makes some sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm accenting the second beat and the fourth beat just a little bit. So let's play this one, this variation that we have on the page. Let's play it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now, while you're getting used to this progression, I think you might want to count this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. So if you count that way, you'll be able to count out the measures and know when to switch. Eventually, you're going to know, you're just going to feel this. You're going to know when to switch. So for now, count them out using that 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. So you're slating, you're counting the measure numbers for yourself. Like I said, eventually you'll just have the feel, you'll know where to go. Up until now, we've been using the pattern, our E7th pattern. Now we're going to harmonize it. So I'm going to play this in sixths. So when you're playing the B, the C sharp, and the D, now when I play the B, I'm going to add the G sharp on the 3rd string, 1st fret. So I play them together. Looks just like your E7th chord. That's because it is an E7th chord. Then when I play the C sharp, I'll play the A. The A is the next note up in the E scale. So that's the note that harmonizes with the C sharp. And then when I'm playing the D, I'll play the B. Instead of playing the B open, I'm going to keep everything on those 2 strings, on the 3rd string and the 5th string. Now, to keep the fingering smooth, I'm using the index finger only on the 3rd string. I could switch fingers, but there's more movement, more things that could go wrong. So I'm going to keep the index finger there. Now what's going on in the right hand? Well, I've got the ring finger always on the 3rd string, the pointer always on the 5th string, and my thumb always on the 6th string. So it's thumb, together, thumb, switch, together, thumb, switch, together, right? I would memorize these the way you do chords. You have your E7th, and this is also an E7th, by the way. And then the double passing tones, which is an A chord. Practice it slowly at first. If you're playing it quickly with a hitch, with things going wrong, or you might jump, and it's not in time, you're going to get better at playing it that way. It's better to play it slowly. And in time, because you'll get better at it, and it'll eventually speed up. So, work on it slowly, and then play it together with me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you might need to take a little bit of time at that, but you can get that going. Now you can also strum that, by the way. You notice you have an E7th chord. So I'm going to grab my pick and just show it to you that way. So there's a couple different things for you to do. Now, let's take a look at the A7th pattern. When I harmonize that, you guessed it, I'm using the A7th chord. The double passing tones are a D chord to the A7th. So I've harmonized the E on the 4th string 2nd fret with the C sharp, which is on the 2nd string 2nd fret. Now when I move up to the F sharp, I've got the D on the 2nd string 3rd fret. And then the G, I'm harmonizing with the E on the 2nd string 5th fret. This time I'm keeping the middle finger on the 4th string. Again, work those out in chord form, memorize those pictures, and then we'll play it together. So, using the same fingers in the right hand, I moved from 6, 5, and 3 to 5 with the thumb, 4 with the pointer, and 2 with the ring finger. And now we have our pattern harmonized. We're going to run into a problem when we go to play our B pattern. The 5th, those two notes are a 5th, the B and the F sharp. That's going to sound very sparse next to this E pattern and the A7th pattern. You could hear what happened. All of a sudden we just kind of lost it. Everything sounded nice and full, and then it got really sparse. So let's pick a B7th chord and a nice rhythm. I have 1 and 2 and we're going to pop that into the chorus. So let's hear it from the B7th chord. And you notice I picked a different turnaround too. But that's going to make more sense. So let's take those harmonized patterns, the E7th and the A7th, and our B7th chord, and a turnaround. And add it all together, and I think you'll hear this thing coming to life. So let's play it together. I'm going to slow it down for you too. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3. B7th, A7th, and now you've got a whole pattern. You can start putting an arrangement together by starting with that one, maybe the next time, and the third time harmonized, each time using a different turnaround. Let's embellish the pattern. Our original pattern now, the harmonized pattern, of course, and the A pattern. So let's take and put these hammer-ons right at the beginning. So on the E7th chord, I'm picking the 3rd string open and the 5th string open, and I hammer on our first chord, the E7th. That's the 3rd string, 1st fret, and the 5th string, 2nd fret. And then I continue the pattern. Previously, we had played the open 6th string, and now we've replaced it with, instead of hitting the 6th string, we have the other 2 strings open. Let's do the same thing on the A7th chord. So the 2nd string and the 4th string are open, and we hammer on the 2nd fret of both strings. And those are the open strings that take the place of the other open strings. So I have the 2 open strings in harmony taking the place of the open bass string, and the 2 harmony notes replacing the open string. You can also do that if you were strumming. So it works in both instances. Let's play one chorus with the embellished pattern. Let's play it together. A little slower though. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, B7. Now when you're practicing, feel free to repeat these. Once you get to that turnaround, you can go right back in and play another chorus. So before we add some fills and some other turnarounds, let's go with another embellishment. Right now we're hammering on, and we're going to add a slide. So let's talk about that one for a minute. Still the same basic idea. We're going to hammer on, hit the bass note, hit those 2 notes in between, the dual passing tones, and now we're going to slide. So each one's coming in from a half step below. 3rd string, 3rd fret, 5th string, 4th fret are going to slide. The slide takes the place of the open 6th string. Okay, so work those out. Hammer, bass, 2 notes, and then the slide. Bass to those 2 notes again. So you hit the bass note before the dual passing tones, going up and coming down. up, down. And the same thing with the A7th. We start with the open, hammer on, bass note, dual passing tones, and here's our slide from 4 and 4 to 5 and 5. Second string and fourth string at the 4th fret, to the second string and fourth string at the 5th fret. So here it is slowly. Same thing, that bass note happens right before the dual passing tones, going up and coming back. Here's the whole chorus. Let's do it together slowly. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2. This chorus is just a little fancier. Listen to it first. And there's our E pattern. In this one, we only hit that bass note once, but that's all you need. So we've got the first hammer, bass note, dual passing notes, and the slide, and now the first string and second string open. Back to the dual passing tones, and then it begins again. Now it sounds like there's a whole lot going on, and I guess that's because there is a whole lot going on, but it's not too hard. If you can play this, add the hammer on, add the slide, and now just add those two notes. Now the A pattern. Well, this time the two notes aren't open. I had to put my pinky on the first string 5th fret. I have the hammer on, bass note, dual passing tones, and then the slide, first string, second string. Before we had the first string, second string, here we have it again. And that's playing the same thing, just a little fancier. So now I'm going to play it for you. Well, you've noticed on the turnarounds I've been using some variations, and this time a little tag next to it. So let's play that one together slowly, the whole chorus. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. When we're playing through a chorus, we get to the B7th. It sounds like something else should happen. We go back into the pattern. We're going to put a fill in there. That's the A7th chord, so we're going to use a fill that works over the A7th. So now a fill. What exactly is a fill? It's a short musical phrase, a short theme. The one we're going to play is... Now the entire scale that came out of, I'm going to go over that with you again later in more detail, but that's the whole scale. And notice I just used the G, E, and the D. Here it is from the B7th. So it keeps the continuity. So we've got the B7th, and you hear a melody note on top, and then another melody note, and the rest of the phrase. So in this case, less is more. I'm using less notes. I'm not using the whole scale. I'm not trying to get all of those notes in. I'm not trying to play real fast. I'm making a statement. It's a phrase, a musical phrase. So that's what our fill is. It's a musical phrase. And I'm taking notes from the scale. I'm going to give you the whole scale later because right now I just want you to play these. And we're just going to put that in and try to link things together. So here it is from the B7th, A7th, and the fill. This A7th chord may be new to some of you. Here's the A, all on the 2nd fret. 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, 2nd fret. I've got that bar all the way across, and I'm playing the 1st string G. In this chord melody example, the highest note will sound like our melody. And then finish out the rest of that phrase. So why don't you play that with me just from the B7th. 1, 2, 3, 4. A7th. Turn around. We're going to add the A7th fill to that fancier chorus we just learned, and listen to it once. When I got to the B7th, I added a couple other strums, just adding to the rhythm. And then I went into the A7th fill. And on the turnaround, I added a tag again. So I'm going to slow it down, and let's play it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's combine everything we know so far. We can start with the simple. Then the next time through the next chorus, we can harmonize it. On the next one, we could build this thing. Put in the A7th fill and our turnarounds. So let's hear what this sounds like. We've got an arrangement happening now. So there are 3 choruses that are different, slightly different, but they are different. Let's play it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Harmonize. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. So you see how to put an arrangement together. You can use one, then use a variation, and then use another one, and just piece this together and plug in the different turnarounds and those different variations that you have, and you can make up your own chorus. Now, what we've been playing here are notes in the scale. And then we harmonized them. What if we went up the entire scale? Now you've got all of those different notes to choose from. So our first, the ones we've been playing over and over, now let me help you memorize them. See this pattern? They're close together, the 4th fret and the 5th fret. Just do that again 2 frets higher at the 6th fret and the 7th fret. And then they're split apart like we did back here, there. At the dots, 7 and 9, and then move that 2 frets higher, 9 and 11. So we had the first move, second move, back to that first one, again, then there are a fret in between twice, and back to 2 of these. I'm at 11 and 12, 13 and 14. So we just made it easy for you to memorize, and you can strum these too. Now we can actually use that in a progression. Even though we're just playing the scale, it actually works. Not very often can you just play a scale and get away with it. So before we do that though, let's take a look at the A7th pattern. We're going to do the same thing. We have the first 3, move 2 frets higher, switch, this is 8 and 9, go 2 frets, 12 and 12, and go 2 frets. Again, we just made it easier for you to memorize. Switch, keep it the same, 2 of these, 2 and 2 of those. Here's the A7th pattern. Why don't you play the E7th pattern with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the A7th pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's apply those to our 12-bar blues progression. And why don't you play it with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1. A7th. Now take those notes from the scale. Let's take those notes from the scale but make up a theme. like that, and plug those into your 12-bar blues pattern. And of course, now you have something else to improvise with. We've been playing a turnaround using the same basic idea with different rhythmic variations. Well, that takes 5 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's descend. That was an ascending pattern. Here's a descending one. Taking the same number of beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And here's a variation. Just made them triplets. We used one broken triplet, and the rest, the full triplets. You can use just quarter notes and alternate with the first string open. And again, there's many variations. You can look for your own and just mix them up. Now we can also harmonize that one. It can become, and that's an easy one, because we had the D, I have the B below it, the C sharp with the A sharp, the C natural with the A natural, and then the open B with the first fret G sharp. The next one, you can strum it or you could pick it with the slide. Again, many variations, and you can come up with your own. Now instead of playing them all together, let's keep the slide and playing them individually. Now we can reverse that. Instead of playing second, first, third, second, first, we could play third, first, second. They're all subtle differences, but I don't want you to miss any of them. Now you can use this as an intro if you want. Start your chorus wherever you want to go from there. So now you have a whole bunch of turnarounds. You can start plugging them in, and I think this is a good place for you to go back, play some of the old choruses, and start plugging some of these in. Contrary motion turnarounds. We have the one going up, the ascending, and the descending. Let's play them both at the same time. The first time you look at this, you might be thinking, wait, there's way too many moving parts here. But again, think of them as chords. You have the first string and the sixth string open. And here's your E7th with the G sharp bass. Well, it's the second string, third fret, and the sixth string, fourth fret. So first and sixth open, second and sixth. Now here's second and fifth. The fifth string's open. And then second and fifth. If you just play that, it sounds like I messed up. But you have the two passing tones in there. And then the two B's. So you could think of this string just coming down chromatically and the note that harmonizes with it. Want to play it with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I'd work it out slowly a bunch of times and then start speeding it up. And now here's the same idea with different rhythms. Now again, I'll make the rhythms more complicated when I'm on a slower song. Now we can use the descending, where we use the open string as the alternate while the bass note is coming up. Work them out slowly and then play them with me. So here's the one where everything's doubled. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. And now play this one with me, where we have the alternating first string. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this next turnaround goes a lot more than the 5 beats. Memorize those chord forms. And then start working out different rhythms to make it fit. So that's one of those I'm going to leave you with. It's going to take a little while to get that one together. Work it out slowly and mess a little bit with it every day, and it'll come together for you. Well, here's some more turnarounds. The descending type. Then we harmonize with the note below. Now I'm going to add a note above it. So you have the one below and the one above. That's a cool sound. You might be thinking, wow, that looks just like my D7th chord. Well, here is your D7th chord, and if you move it up a step, it's an E7th chord. And then, if we do that chromatic move down, our next variation is just playing every one. The next one is playing the notes individually. So I'm taking the same ideas from before, but now I'm just plugging those rhythmic ideas into this chord form. And that's 3 turnarounds back to back. Let's play the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And the next one. 2, 3, 4, 1. And the last one. 3, 4, 1. We played this one earlier. That same idea. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put the notes below it. that's a cool one. Nice full sound. So that same idea, moving down, and now the notes are below. So there's another one that's a handful for you to get a hold of. Take a look at it. It's your G7th. With those open strings, it's now a G13th. Here's your F sharp, 7th, suspended 4. Now, sometimes you've played C sharp, F sharp, B, E. And now I'm using the G. Notice the only difference on this chord is the bass note, the tritone substitution, okay? The difference between these two notes is a tritone. And this is when jazz players talk about a tritone substitution. So instead of the C sharp chord, I'm playing G7th to the F sharp. Instead of B7th, I'm playing F7th to E. So you can use either. You can use the B, C sharp, B, E, or G, F sharp, F, and E. And that's all from this chromatic move down. Have some fun with those. We're going to change the progression a little bit. Up until now, we've been playing 4 bars of the E7th before we switch to the A7th. Now we're going to jump right into the A7th. So you start with the E, jump right to A7th, back to the E7th. And then we move on to the A7th. That's a little bit of a change, but a lot of the great blues songs that we listen to have that change right in the beginning. Even though we're playing instrumentals, we might as well emulate some of those great blues that we really love. Now, when we get later on in the A7, instead of taking that idea where I went all the way up the neck and harmonized the entire scale, instead of going up the neck, what I'm going to do is switch over to the first 2 strings. So instead of coming up here to the 8th and 9th fret, I can get that same sound without jumping up the neck. And I made a little melody out of those. Instead of coming up here. Because that takes me out of position. I have to jump back down. The A7th. Back to the E7th. At the B7th, I'm still using that added rhythm. Now the A7th, here's a different fill. Let's hear the whole thing. So there's a lot going on there. Things got some life and some movement. Let's play it together, a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, 4. A7, back to E. Let's talk about fills. We're going to go from a scale, the open position blues scale I talked about earlier, okay, and I'll play it ascending. And this is the E minor pentatonic scale. Pentatonic, there's 5 notes. So there's the E, G, A, B, and D. Then it starts again. E, G, A, B, D, E, and another G. So here's a sample fill. So why don't you play that with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here's a very simple variation. I'm going to play the first 3 notes and go back to the first string open. Instead of the second string open, I'll go back to the first string. And those are something that's easy. Those are easy to plug into our choruses. Now you could play something that's a little bit fancy. It's a little bit long for a fill, and it's a little bit too fancy. Something short and to the point like that is a little bit easier. Here's a chorus using fills. So I played the first E, played the A7th, and added a fill. And then I went to the A7th, played the whole pattern, fill again. B7th, A7th fill, turn around. Okay, I'll slow it down. I want you to play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's some more fills. These are double stops. I'm hitting 2 notes at a time. Just like that turnaround. I have those 2 notes. And then a little answer to it. It's almost like 2 mini phrases. Play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now the next fill play through more than an octave of the scale. Now one of the tricks, when I'm playing a fill or using it as part of a melody, I like to repeat it. So if I started, what's the A? I'll play the same one again. And continue from there. So I like them to repeat. Same thing with the that could even be an introduction. Etc. And you could take the rest of the solo out from there. So look for all the different things you can do using the notes from that scale. Another way to break up these choruses is with a stop time solo. So as this thing has been rolling along, and you'd play through this, and you move on from there. So the stop time, I hit the bass note E and play some kind of solo. I picked something very standard. On the A7th, hit the A bass note. You could hit the first 2 strings again, or 3 strings. E. Notice I repeated. On the A7th, I played something similar. E is the same. Now this part, it starts quiet and gets louder. Now that thing there, the first string 10th fret and second string 12th fret, I didn't want to reach way up here, but that's the D and the B that we used from our turnaround up an octave. But again, I don't want to choke the guitar up here, so I've got the B on the second string 12th fret and the D on the first string 10th fret. Well, if you're putting a solo together, a whole set of choruses, you might start with that. May go into your harmonized, maybe the harmonized with those variations. Okay, you may throw in some different turnarounds, but after maybe the third one, you might go into a stop time solo. So coming out of that, we'll play the B7th, to the A7th fill, turn around, and then the stop time. Before we can play a constant bass solo, we're going to do some prep. So here's the preparatory exercise. We'll start with that low E, and we want to add one note at a time. So on the first beat, on 1, I'm going to play the first string open. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you want to repeat that a few times to get used to that particular coordination. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. With me? We can do that at that speed. So I'm using the ring finger on the first string and of course the thumb on the sixth string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and get tired of that? Move to the A bass. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have to get used to playing on each individual beat. So let's play 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Switch to A. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on all 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's play all of the eighth notes. So whenever the bass hits, play with the ring finger as well, like this. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Switch. Great. You're pretty much all ready to go. You can use any combination. You can do all the upbeats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, or any combination like and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. But once you've got this basic idea, either hitting on all of the beats or the individuals, you pretty much have all the coordinations you need. So let's move on to this constant bass solo. Here's a constant bass solo. I'm going to play it for you first. And that's our constant bass solo. Notice I took a simple theme right from our blues scale. I led in from the G to the E and then from the D to the E. So I took one note above the E, which is our tonal center, and one note below. And that's the whole theme. I did the same thing for the A7th. Now on the next E7th, I did the same thing, but answered or finished out the phrase. On the next A7th, same thing. Finished the same way on this E7th. And that's the basics to this constant bass solo. Now, of course, you can use anything from our E minor pentatonic scale, and then just throw that in. So you can make up your own phrases, your own theme. Let's play this one together. I'll slow it down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. So before you start playing this, you may want to play just those individual phrases. So if you had trouble with it, you want to do that first. We've been using the E minor pentatonic scale. In the first position. We can also use the constant bass with the E major pentatonic scale. Here I'm at the 9th fret. 9, 12, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 12, 9, 12. Get used to where your E's are. The 3rd string, 9th fret. And you could play themes there. And right now we're still centering on the E. So use those two patterns. You've got the minor pentatonic and the major. And start making up some different phrases in those positions. The major pentatonic scale, way up here on the 9th fret, is sometimes a little bit too far away from where a lot of things are going on. You can play these different notes in a different position. And I'm going to move us down here to the 3rd string, 4th fret, and then the 6th fret, 2nd string, 5, 7, 9, 1st string, 7, 9, and 12. So I took part of our scale that was on 9 and moved it down a little bit. All of these scales that we have, I'm showing you in one position. Of course, there are many different places to play it. I think right now, this one at the 4th fret, we're going to be able to use a little more, I guess I should say it'll be a little more useful to us. The minor pentatonic gives us one flavor, and the major pentatonic gives us another. This next constant bass solo is going to use our major pentatonic, and you're going to hear some of those blues notes thrown in. So listen to it once. So you heard our theme. On the A7th, I altered it. I used the flatted 7th from the A7th chord, because if I played that G sharp against the A7th chord, we'd get that sound not very pleasant. Then A7th. I started the same way on the E7th. But you can hear those blues notes. Right there, the flatted 7th. And that flatted 3rd. Notice I put a little bend to it. I didn't bend it all the way up to the G sharp. It's a quarter step bend. Something that happens in blues a lot, especially vocally. We moved on, used that A7th. It's the same theme. And then you've got a different fill. I just thought I'd give you something different when we get to the E7th. Let's play it together, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. have it, a different flavor to with our constant bass. The major pentatonic scale I showed you previously played 4, 6, 5, 7, 9, 7, 9, and 12. When you're mixing the scales, you're going to find your other notes in between. So I'd like you to be conscious of getting to that D instead of the E up top. It's more of a stretch to get there. You can get right to that D right away, and you can also bend to it. So look out for those notes when you're playing. You don't have to be jumping all over the place. Now, in that same idea, I've got a chromatic lick you've heard before. And there it is, right in the middle. Instead of sliding up, I'm moving over to the first string G sharp. And then I'm filling in the chromatics. That's every fret. And that's a cool lick you could put into a chorus all by yourself. On the A, I'd probably use the flatted third. So look out for that lick and throw that into a chorus. It might sound like this. And then from there you'd move on into your B7th, your A7th lick, and a turnaround. We're going to take that same idea that we had, that chromatic move, and we're going to move it down an octave and harmonize it with the bass this time. This is going to get our bass notes moving. And up till now, we've had that constant bass. And now if I harmonize with the bass, and that's a nice sound right there. That's tenths, okay? So the notes are 10 apart. So I go from the E open to the next E is 8, F sharp, G sharp is 9, 10. And you can hear that bass wants to move right up to the A. Now I can further harmonize this. Gives a real rich sound with that low flatted 7th in there. There's our E7 sound. And now if I keep everything moving up, so here we go. There's your E7th. When I move up here, I'm keeping that E, and I keep it again. And that's just an E chord right there. Down here, we just have a passing chord. You need to work that out slowly to get the fingering. Now notice it's easy with just the 2 fingers. The 2 notes. You can do it with 2 fingers. So that's another variation. You can just jump right in and use that. This other one is a little more difficult. It's going to take a little more time to get together. Now on the A, you could move over but I have it here. Also takes a little strength to get that happening. So here's the E7th. Here's the A7th. And you can find your A7th. It's part of that A7th bar chord, you know. We just don't need all the fingers. The F sharp is the same idea, just move down to the 2nd fret. And the B7th is the same idea at the 7th fret. So you want to work those out before we put them into a chorus. You can use them as part of a melody. So in a chorus I might play E to A. Etc. You could use it there. You can also mix it in with some of the other things we've been playing. Etc. So work on this walking bass pattern. We get that bass moving finally, and we can add that to our choruses. We're going to add some new chord changes here. I'm going to play through the chorus and play with some of our basic stuff. Remember, you can start substituting some of the more fancy things that we've done. But when I get to the after the 2 E7ths, you can see an F sharp coming instead of an A7th. The F sharp leads to the B, leads to the E. And I'm going to play our new walking line. At this point, I'm going to choose the turnaround that goes with it. Since we had all of those chord forms, I'm going to use that turnaround. Here's what it sounds like. Let's change the progression just a little more. Now we have the F sharp that leads to the B. We're going to play the C sharp that leads to the F sharp. So you get this. Just like in our turnaround. We've taken that turnaround but expanded it and backed it up into the chorus. The C sharp I'm going to use looks just like your first position C7th. So here's your C chord. If I add the 3rd string 3rd fret B flat, I have a C sharp 7th, a C7th. If I move it up a fret, don't hit the 1st string or the 6th string, or you'll get that. You have a C sharp 7th chord. It's a movable chord. That's not a bar chord. Comes in handy. I'm going to lead in from the E7th. You could actually strum everything there. And just move down chromatically. Now during this chorus, I've added some more of those fancy things, but not all of them, just so you could see how you could put them together. Adding the C sharp 7th. Here's what the chorus sounds like. Now you normally wouldn't slow down when you get to the turnaround. I just kind of forgot we were going into the turnaround there, and that's why I slowed down. I took this thing walking pattern and gave it a different rhythm. So you might want to work on that too. But you can hear how easy that C sharp 7 sounds to us as it leads into the F sharp chord. We're going to add an A sharp diminished chord to this whole thing now. So the A sharp diminished is going to come after the A seventh, and I'm going to alter the A seventh pattern. So that I can play something there on the A sharp diminished chord. Here's what it sounds like. So I played one of our simple patterns with a little slide, did the same thing on the A seventh, and then a fill. On the A seventh, I played louder on the A sharp diminished. Let's get a little more intensity there. And back to what we played on the last verse. We have so many different things going on right now that you can plug in all these different ideas, different fills. I think you should stop at this point and go back and start making up some of your own, and maybe even notate them, whatever you need to write down to show which one you want to play. Have it make sense though. Okay, don't just throw in I'm going to do one with the straight, and then one that's real fancy, and then throw in a fill that's, you know, easy, and then one that's crazy, and then a different constant bass thing. Make sure it makes sense. Well, I've said we should put these together. Let's do that now. Going to start with the simplest ones we did and start adding those variations. And I'm going to keep the B7th, the A7th, and the turnarounds the same. Pretty much the same all the way through, just to make it simple. Here we go. Let's build on that idea of the bass moving. And we had done that with those harmony notes. All of that. I'm going back to those two notes. And let's take the bass note and put it on top as a melody. So you could play in quarter notes and then do the same for A. Or you could play them in eighth notes. Now if I was using this idea in a chorus, I might play the eighth notes, and then answer it going backwards, and then move on to whatever I wanted to play next. If it was, I'd probably want to make sure I get a high note in there for the A, so I don't lead all of this stuff up and not cover it again, not get anywhere near it. I don't want to play something high and then everything else is low. So I might do something like that. So here we have and wherever you're going to go from there in the chorus. So we've taken that bass line and moved it up top. So look for a lot of those things, different places where you can move things to get some other sounds. We're going to add an intro now. And of course a good place to add the intro is at the beginning of the song. But I'm going to take the beginning 4 chords of the chorus. Sometimes you take an intro from the ending of a chorus. But I'm going to take it from the beginning, just like you would in Johnny Be Good. You know that intro? And then you'd come in with the D chord. I played it in the key of A there. So you would come in on the 4 chord or the 5th bar. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to use this E7th chord. Come in with the A. So here's what I played on the E7th, just sliding in, and then I moved back a half step. Well, here's 2 notes from the A 7th chord. This makes it an A sharp diminished with the A sharp in it. So the fill. I actually just played right down the whole scale with a little quarter step bend. And then right into the A. Well, we started moving things up the neck. I'd like to talk about some of these other E7th chords you may find. So we have our E7th in that first position. And this E chord, we talked about this E7th, comes right from your D7th, E7th, D, E. So we're going to use these chords. And up here, from this bar chord, you have an E7. I'm only going to use the first 3 strings. 7, 9, and 7. Now your next E chord is from the E bar chord, which I'm not going to play because I don't have a cutaway. But here's the 7th. Okay, I'm on the 10th fret. 10, 12, and 13. So that intro we played, you could play here, or even up here. we've got different places now, so we can extend our melody up the neck. Let's use those chords. So I'm going to take this E7th, and of course I was sliding into it. So let's try that. 2, 3, 4. Now I can also use this A. Let's try that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might do the same thing on the next E7th. Or you might slide with it. So we'll slide with the first one. Slide with the next one and slide with the third. Let's do those moves first. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then you probably want to answer it with something. Now we can also do the one with the melody change. And then you'd move on. So let's try that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here's an idea. Let's pull off the first note. So I picked them all together, then pulled off with my ring finger, so I get the open E. Pick them all together, pull off, and now I'm using the third string. First two again, pull off, third again. Okay, try that one. 2, 3, 4. You can do that with your next E7th chord too, but not with the bar. So I replace the bar. This one's a little bit more difficult, and I'm using the middle finger. Ready? Together. 2, 3, 4. And this E7th chord, same thing. 2, 3, 4. Let's do the same thing with the A7th chords. So we have our A down here, our A7th, this A7th. Well, this is going to come in handy because we're not going to do a whole lot of sliding with these open strings. Got that move only. Well, here's our next A7th chord. Here's your A7th, your A bar chord. I'm taking the second string and the third string, and I'm adding this note from the first string. I get my finger out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. You have this A7th chord. I use this one more. Of course, that's just like the E7th we had here. E 7th, F7th, G7th, A7th. And this A7th up here, that's the octave of what we had here. Here's your E7th, and here's your A7th way up here. Get my finger out of the way so you can see what's going on. So let's look for those tricks for the A7th chords. You can slide or hammer. This A7th. this one. And this one. I purposely gave you a different rhythm than we had for the E7 so you could start adding to your vocabulary of rhythms. Now, we also have pull-offs. On this one's a little more difficult. This one's easy. This one. And the last one. Well, now we've got our vocabulary of E7th and A7th chords. We need to mix them together. And I'm careful to use proper phrasing when I do it. So for instance, if I'm playing the E7th chord here, I'll play the A7th here, E7th, and then an answer, and wherever we're going to go from there. So I'm using the E7th here, A7th right near it. Now this E7th, let's use the pull-off lick. I'm going to give you a new A chord here. This is an A9th. That's a cool sounding chord. So it comes from your A7th bar chord. Okay, so I've got the 3rd string, 6th fret, 2nd string, 8th fret, and the 1st string, 7th fret. So I played the E7th, and now the A9th. What's cool is the tritone moved back, but the melody stayed the same. And that's something a little new there. I went to the 7th with the harmony. That's an E chord. And that's an E9th, just like you had up here on the A chord. But I don't have the G sharp in there. And you're all set to move on to your next A7th chord. There's a few ideas. Mix and match them. See what you get. Earlier, when we were doing the contrary motion turnarounds, we talked about this one. And we haven't used it yet. Let me show you where it goes. Right after the B7th chord, you can play it there. Okay, so let's take that again. After the B7th, now there's another way to play this too. Instead of playing that contrary motion, you could play this one. And that's a different, it's just a variation. It's still harmonized. I might do it with the A bass after the B. And then add your turnaround. And there you have it. So far everything we've done has been in the key of E. Well, that was convenient because we had the 6th string open for that nice low bass, and the 5th string open, A, and of course we had to fret the B for our B7th chord. Well, what about the key of A? We've got our A patterns and our E patterns. All we need is a D pattern. Well, if we start where we did before, split it up, add the 7th, and then harmonize it. Then we're good to go. We can play 3 notes. And look where we are. We're on this D 7th chord. It looks just like that E 7th chord we played. See, everything kind of mixes and matches together. So now you can play one in the key of A. Well, now you're going to have some fun transposing everything we just did to the key of A. Take those ideas and look for them. They're right here for you. Here's some stuff to listen to. I'm just going to mess around a little bit. Thanks for spending some time with this. I'm sure you found some things to add to your bag of tricks. Keep adding to it. Be creative. Listen to a lot of acoustic blues to influence your playing. Good luck, and we'll see you on the next one.